Oh.
But yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are delighted to be with you. I guess we've just switched over to afternoon, so good afternoon, and welcome to Community Chats for Wednesday, May 6th. I am delighted to be here with you again. My name is Anthony Saracusa, the Director of Community Engagement at the University of Mississippi, and per usual, I'm joined by my distinguished colleagues, Aaron Peiser-Oath and Jody Holland. And we are hosting, as you know, regular conversations on Wednesdays and Fridays with folks in the Lafayette Oxford University community who are working hard and have been working hard to make a positive difference in our region. We call this series Community Chats, and we come to you every Wednesday and Friday right here on Facebook Live. And we are so thrilled to be able to elevate the stories, the voices of individuals and groups in our region who are doing important work. They've been doing that work for years, and we want to elevate those stories as well as their visions for the future. Would you like to be interviewed on this show, or do you know somebody that we should talk to? We want to hear from you. So please be in contact. You can direct message us on Facebook, or you can send us an email at engaged@olemiss.edu. We would not be able to do community chats without the generous support of our friends at LOFT, Lafayette Oxford Foundation for Tomorrow. And if you'd like to learn more about the critical work that they do in LOU, you can go back to our first episode of the series, or you can find them on the web. Today, we have the distinct honor and privilege of being joined by Janice Carr from the Gordon Cultural and Community Center. When I was doing a little research about Janice, I came across an Oxford Eagle article that described her as a person for whom the word can't does not exist. She is a phenomenal leader in our community with a remarkable story, and we are so very lucky to have her on our show today. Janice, welcome to Community Chats.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. We're going to just jump right into the interview, and we want to give the majority of this time to you. So Janice, could you get us started by telling us, where did you grow up and how did you end up in Oxford Lafayette?
Well, I grew up in West Point, Mississippi, and that's in Clay County, and in specifically a community called Tibby. And as you know, West Point is part of the Golden Triangle, which include West Point, Columbus, and Starkville. And I graduated from West Point High School and then went on to Jackson State University, where I earned a BA degree in political science and history. And then I moved on to San Diego and then to San Jose and for 25 years. And now I'm back in Mississippi, where I always wanted to come back and make my presence known.
Great, thank you.
Well, Janice, this is Jody, and I know you're on the phone, so you can't see, but you have made your presence known in this community. When I met you 7 years ago, you made an impact really quick. And I want to know, you've been involved so much in the community. How did you land the position that you're currently in right now at the Gordon Center?
Well, when I moved to Abbeville, I was kind of like just exploring the community, and I came across these two buildings that were there, and they looked, well on the outside, the bricks, and there was no mortar falling out of them. So I started inquiring about the community, what was their purpose, and found out that they were the schools, actually the first Black school built in Lafayette County that was partially supported by the county. And so I knew then, with a background in history and understanding the importance of history, I wanted to preserve the building. So I started just inquiring and tried to recruit people to come and help with this. So then we decided to renovate the first building, which was in 1950. And so when we finished that renovation, we decided that we wanted to do a school to turn the building back to what its original purpose was. And then we started the summer enrichment program. And we based that program on what the freedom schools used to be like back in the 60s. And their purpose was for education. And education of teaching kids something different than what they had been used to, in addition to the basic basic educational system. So when we renovated that building, we were not a nonprofit, and of course we didn't have, our purpose wasn't for education, but we weren't a nonprofit at the time. So after we finished that and had our first year, actually before the first year of the school, we became a nonprofit, and there were actually 3 years before we became a nonprofit. And so we actually got our first grant. We applied for a grant after becoming a nonprofit. And our first grant was from law, and that was used in order to put in our electrical. So I guess the nonprofit kind of came upon us as we were already into the building, and then we became a nonprofit. So that's how we got into the actually the summer education program, which was our first program.
Wow, I love hearing your story, Janice. This is Erin. I just have enjoyed learning more about your story and your work. And so it sounds like you really came to Abbeville, Lafayette County as a community member. And so can you just talk a little bit about what leadership looks like as a community member? I mean, not everyone comes in and just sees, hey, here's this building that needs to be preserved, and then sees it develop to the program that you have. So what does leadership look like as a community leader?
Well, I guess it's, I think sometimes that, there's always that question says a leader, is leadership taught, or are you born with leadership skills? And I'm going to have to say that that's been a part of me from my early life. I think the first time I realized that leadership can be positive and can be negative. There's a little story that a friend of mine, and we wanted to have a birthday party, so we decided we're going to go and raise us some money, and so we can have us a birthday party without asking our parents. So we decided to make an auction, do an auction, and so we had this party, and our parents was not home, and decided to have it at my house, because my parents weren't home at the time. So when they got home, we had this party. We had a drawing, and we took the cake to the gentleman that lived in the community, and we had enough money for our party. So when my parents got home, they decided that was a little too much. So that was my first. So, but then, and I guess all through the years, even my years in California, I headed up some projects and so forth there. And it's kind of like neighborhood watch programs and so forth. So it's always been a part of me.
Wow, Janice, I love that kind of notion of leaderfulness, and sort of how you develop that space in communities and help bring out the best in other people and run programs. That's super cool. And obviously building teams is a part of that, reaching out to people and helping to find places where they can participate in the work. So could you talk a little bit about kind of the team you've built and, how that group does the work that you all do at the Gordon Center?
Well, the first, when we started the renovation, we started out with, actually, it was students that had gone to the school. And most of them they were over 50, and a lot of them in their 70s when we were doing the renovations. And it were mostly females. And we had a couple of gentlemen that stood with us. But it was those women that were over 70, in the 50s, that were climbing ladders, painting the walls. We had to redo the windows and taking the putty out of the windows and cleaning the floors. So it was, and they were so dedicated to it. We were to meet at 9 o'clock. Everybody was pulling up at 9 o'clock. So it was a dedicated position. I mean, they loved it. And as I said, this was all volunteer work, but it was something that they wanted to do. But, it just took someone to bring us together to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, Janice, this is Jody again. You've done so much for that organization and that community, and you spoke briefly about the educational programs, but what are some other specific programs that you're doing in the organization? I know you're developing some things out, so can you tell us a little bit about those?
Okay, our main program has been the And we keep the name Abbeville School because that is the actual name of what the school was called. So most of our programs going to start with the Abbeville School. So the Abbeville School Summer Enrichment Program was our first one. And then we have the vocational tech school now that we have gone through the first part of our pilot program. And we hope to get it off the ground in September, depending on the climate at that time, and go for a blast on that. And part of our summer education program, we have a shadowing program that when our students are from rising first through sixth graders. And so when our sixth graders graduate, then we want to put them into the shadowing program. And that our first session on that was last year, where the city of Oxford, we had the mayor's office, the chancery clerk, the environmental department, and there was one other department slipped me right now, but our students were in the shadowing program. So that's what we do with after our students graduate. We don't want to lose contact with them, and we want to make sure that they're continuing. And also a part of our enrichment program is that we we teach Swahili. One of our classes now is Swahili, and the instructor is from Tanzania, and she has a school there, and we formed a partnership with them, whereas when she's teaching our students, we're able to have her students come in will be able to come in and learn English while our students are learning Swahili. So that is, and those are our basic programs. It's the summer enrichment camp, our shadowing, our partnership with the students in Tanzania, and our VOTEC program. So those are the programs that we're working on now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow, it's also exciting. Janice, can you talk about some of the greatest challenges that you've experienced as a nonprofit while serving the LOU community, either in this current moment or in your day-to-day work in quote normal times?
Let me say a positive. Well, I guess not a challenge. Is making sure that our students are there, and most of them are always on time. But to make sure when they hear the word camp, they think that it's you go to camp and you ride horses and you play around. But it's to get them to realize that our camp is not necessarily that way. It's an educational camp, and it means that you still are going to be learning. So once they settle in and understand that, it goes well. But our challenge, our building is 4 large rooms, whereas we have another building that needs renovating. Our buildings belong to the county. So when we renovated the first building, the county put Robert Blackman was the supervisor at the time, and he was responsible for us getting the roof put on that building, and we did the rest of the renovation. What we've been trying to do, and which has been a big challenge, is get the board of supervisors to help us with the second building so that we can expand our program. And what needs to be done there is the asbestos needs to be removed and a roof put on that. So we've asked them to help us with that, which has been a great challenge to get them to move on it. So that is the hardest thing, that the biggest challenge we have right now. But hopefully we will be able to get some action on that sometime soon.
Thank you, Janice. This is Anthony again. And, you've done so much, and to just come into that space and have a vision and be able to bring people together and create meaningful programs for young people, that has to have been rewarding, even amidst some of those challenges. But how would you describe some of the greatest rewards that you've experienced as you've done this work in the LOU community?
Well, I guess the greatest reward was when that school was first started. One of the gentlemen was still alive that was on the board of trustees, and that was Reverend Harris. And when we finished the renovation, he was still alive. And so he got to cut the ribbon on the school. The school had been there for about 40 years. There was, falling apart. And when we finished the renovation, he was able to cut the ribbon and to go in and see the building being used for what they intended it for that many years ago. So that was my greatest award. And he lived long enough in order to see that we were actually the building was working for us, and we were still, his work was still carried on. So that, I think that's the greatest. That is the greatest award that I've received out of this whole project. And I guess one of the others is seeing the kids when they're learning something new and how exciting they can get with that. And to and then to come back, later and say, we did this during summer school, and now it helps me. So it's a great. That makes it all worth it.
Wow, cool.
Well, Janice, this is Jody again, and like you've just done so much for that community, and the richness that you bring to that community is amazing. And Loft's been a huge supporter of your organization and mission through grants. And also, I want to mention that McDonald's Betsy Smith's we're going to send you a meal card for your time today. So I'll send that to you after we get off this phone call, because they're a big contributor to nonprofits in our community, and they support you. But I want to know what would you say for others individuals in the community? How can they contribute to your organization? What are the needs, and how can they contribute?
Well, first I want to thank Loft for all. I mean, they have really stepped up for us, and big league is how you say that. But Loft have been supportive of us from I guess about 7. We've been in existence for 12 years. And I think Loft is with us at least 7 or 8 of those years, and also United Way and Move On Up Mississippi. So those organizations have helped us to become what we are today. And there are individuals. And I don't want to leave out anybody, because you start naming names and then you miss out somebody. But there are other organizations that have helped us in churches, Christ Temple, Jeffrey Church, and I also Bennett Construction, and I mean that was a tearjerker for me, because they came in and I had never met anybody from there, and he saw an article in the paper, and he came and said that he just wanted to do something to help us. And he was just going to put in the infrastructure for a bathroom, because our building didn't have a bathroom in it, nor did it have running water. So he came in and said he was just going to put in the infrastructure, and then we would put in the bathroom. And so I came back one day and he had put in the whole thing. So, I mean, wow. That was a tearjerker. So I do want to thank Bennett Construction for what they did there. But there have been so many other people that have, donated to us, and I'm sure there have been a lot of prayers for us as well. So we are, we just want to continue it. We want to make sure our VOTEC classes go well, because that's going to give people the skill, because not everyone want to go to college, and not everybody are able to go into Oxford. And so we have a local school where you can gain the skills in the construction area, and where you can build assets and just have a career, have a career, and not just say I can't do this because I can't, but it is right here in the community. And our programs are free, and through the help of Loft, we're able to offer those classes for free. So we just want students to come in and get the skills. We will be teaching electrical this fall, and hopefully we'll be able, if we have a space for it, because we'll be doing the after-school program too. So we need to hopefully have a space for 2 classes for carpentry as well as electrical. So As you know, we have a good program and we want to continue it, and we want to thank all those people that, you know, have helped us through the years, and we're just grateful. And our board, and I don't want to forget our board of directors who have been so supportive and always there when we need them. And so, and all their work is volunteer. Everybody's work is volunteer. So, except our teachers, our summer school teachers, they are the only staff that we have, but all the other work is volunteer. So we have a great community here who's looking forward to great things from the Golden Center, and we hope to produce it.
Great.
So exciting. So Janice, if you have 1 minute, we're going to give you 1 minute to speak to all the citizens and members of the LOU community. What message would you have for them? What would you most want to say to them in this season?
Well, just continue to support us, and do contact your supervisors and ask them if they would do the same, and helping us to get our building renovated, helping us to put an HVAC system in the building that we're currently in, and just, you know, continue supporting us. And when your children come to school there, know that they're going to get the best training possible, as well as our VOTEC. Any program that we have, we put our best into it, and we just want you to continue supporting us.
Wow. Janice, this has been, for me, such an inspiring 30 minutes or so to hear about you and your background and your work, your commitment and dedication to the young people in Lafayette County and in Abbeville. It's just been so uplifting. And I hope that the folks who are listening to the show today are similarly uplifted and inspired to continue to support you and the important work that you're doing at the Gordon Cultural and Community Center. It's essential, and I look forward to connecting with you through the Office of Community Engagement in a variety of ways in the months and years ahead. You're really an asset and an inspiration for folks in the Lafayette community. So thank you, Janice, for everything that you do.
Well, we're looking forward to continue working with you all as well.
Great. And to our listeners, I want to thank you all for tuning in today and remind you that on Friday, we will be speaking with Shay Simpson from the North Mississippi Regional Center, affectionately known as NMRC. So please tune in on Friday. You don't want to miss that interview. We have another inspiring local leader for you to hear from. And in the meantime, please like, comment, share this live feed with your friends. And most importantly, stay engaged and stay safe. Thanks, y'all.